Hello everyone and welcome back to the pit. I'm Garegas here, and in today's video, yes, we are speaking again about the Market Garden campaign, but since the second round of battles have been completely fought, I think it's time to give you a first update on the campaign itself, mainly to give you an idea of what, in practice, means to have these games related to each other. So I'm going to show you the various battles, how they are being fought. And especially, I'm going to show you the updated rosters together with the losses that have been suffered already by the players. This is just going to give you an idea of what's going on, basically. So, in the Eindhoven sector, now, the first 3 battles are at a fixed number of points, which you can see here, you can read here on this Word document. So the first 3 battles are with set points. The last 2, the number of points the Allies will have available will depend on how many of the first 3 battles they have won. The idea being that in Eindhoven, it's where the 101st Airborne Division operates. If they manage to do the initial job well, they are going to be able to be quickly reinforced by the British 30th Corps, Armored Corps, and so they can get a lot of points. But right now the first 2 battles have been losses for the Allies, which means that at best we are going to be in this scenario. Worst case scenario, if the 3rd game is lost for the Allies as well, they're gonna have a hard time for the last battles. This is the availability of vehicles for the various armies. Day 1 and 2 only soft skins. Day 3 the Germans also start getting their half tracks. Again, I'm writing day, technically it's not day, but it's game 3, but you get the gist. And finally, from day 4th onward, Germany get all of their armored vehicles, while the US get them in game turn 4 if they got at least 1 victory, and they get them regardless for the last battle because the reinforcements are just so close to there. So the first 2 games again have been losses for the Allies, but this is the German situation. So German losses have not been tragic, actually. They lost a pair of platoon commanders, they lost a couple of here grenadier squads, they lost their pioneers. I have to say that battles in the Eindhoven sector have been rather light on overall, as we're going to see from the US perspective. Now, for the Germans, their limitations are that HQ units cannot be veterans. No support units can be veteran either. Oops, some more spelling mistakes. And finally, vehicles, they can't be veteran either. That's because in the Eindhoven sector there were more or less a more ragtag group of defenders when compared from the other two sectors. So basically, the German player will be able, at least for game 3, to just play whatever he feels like. Now, keep in mind, also this worth of note, that this applies for all the German forces. For infantry squads, I decided to limit their max troop size to 8 total men. That's because, especially at this point in the war, the Germans were not able to keep their units at full strength. There was just no way. So again, the situation is pretty good for Kampfgruppe Walter. What about their opponent? Again, the US player has got very, very, very light losses, despite losing the matches. They did lose their company commander in the turn 2 of the first game, killed by a sniper. So he's gone. He can no longer decide to field a company commander. He lost one of his 2 medics and 1 paratrooper team. But again, as you can see, the US player will have basically he can pick from whatever troops he wants. He still is not limited. Now, going back to the Nijmegen sector, the progression works more or less the same way. So the Allies and the Germans have fixed points for the first 3 battles. The Allies, the amount of troops the Allied player gets, it's dependent on how many victories the US player manages in Eindhoven. Because if the Screaming Eagles don't do their work, it means that there are going to be less and less resources available to reach Nijmegen in a timely manner. The German player is dependent on his own number of successes in this sector to see how many points he will have available. At the time being, the honors are split. We have 1 victory for the Germans and 1 victory for the Allies, which means that at best the Germans are in this situation and the Allies so far can't get any better than this. What about the troops? Then we see this is the German order of battle in the Kampfgruppe Chill. Here we see that the Germans have taken more of a pounding. They lost almost all of their platoon commanders. Now, I've put in place some rules to ensure that there is a little of a chain of command. Extra platoon commanders, if they lose all their allotted slots, will mean that they can get only a commander with a +1 bonus and a max of 2 attendants. He lost all of his here grenadiers. He lost most of his SS, some MMGs. So now troop choices will be a little bit more meaningful in the future. You see, different from the Eindhoven sector, HQ units cannot be inexperienced here in Nijmegen, and also the vehicles cannot be inexperienced because they were already parts of the SS divisions, some Fallschirmjägers, so it's not a place for inexperienced. Mostly. There still are a couple, but less so than in Eindhoven. As for the 82nd, they took a little more losses than the Screaming Eagles. They lost half their platoon commanders and some ad hoc reserves, a sniper, and HMG, a light mortar. So he still can basically field whatever he wants, but probably in game 4 or 5 there might be some problems. And then we get to Arnhem. Now, Arnhem works in a completely different way, because there's this not easy to read diagram, which basically means that you start with the first game, the assault on the Arnhem rail bridge. Then, depending on whether the allied player is victorious or not, you switch to a different branch. So far, mission 1 has been a success, so we fought battle 2 under this condition. It was the assault at the Arnhem land bridge. This game was lost by the Brits, and so we will be fighting another attack at the land bridge. Keep in mind that the victory condition is particular in Arnhem, but because this is an historical campaign, basically the overall campaign can be won by the Allied only if the English player manages to be fighting the bridge defense mission in the 5th turn, which means, and he can do that only if he manages to win the attack mission, and then he goes into defensive, and he has to defend against always more overwhelming numbers. Now, the final battle, he gets the US player, the UK player actually gets to have some hefty reserve points, so the cavalry coming if though the other two players manage to win their own 5th mission. If you're thinking that this is biased, yes, it is, because historically it was a disaster for the Brits. They managed to conquer the bridge, but they just couldn't hold it. They just couldn't. They couldn't. And so, it's no shame if they don't succeed, but should they succeed, they will have forever bragging rights. So this is more or less the scheme. Let's take a look at the armies. The Germans have taken some hefty losses. Now, please note that all HQ units in the Arnhem sector have to be veteran, support units cannot be inexperienced, and vehicles cannot be inexperienced as well. Technically, they should mostly be all veterans, but I still wanted to add a little bit of possible variation. Again, especially, take for example, especially a look at the MMG numbers. They have dwindled already pretty hard, so the troop selection will be somewhat limited because the German player is almost out of regular troops, so he will have to do with either some veterans, or he will have to use some inexperienced ones. Again, choices is the name of the game. Plus, nowadays he will start being able to use a couple more vehicles, so we will have to see. Again, keep in mind that the whole campaign is an experiment for 3rd edition, so balancing, there might be some changes that I'm going to have to do, but again, I can only do that once we tried. We are basically playtesting live, so to speak. Finally, the 1st Airborne Division in the Arnhem sector So here you see that the Brits already took some hefty casualties, especially in the platoon commander slots. Now, we did use the new experimental at the time rules for platoon commanders, but still, most of the time the British player went for a low number of officers in the team, and so, well, they got crushed pretty hard. Plus, you already lost 2 paratrooper teams and a couple of support units. So it's not going to be easy up there in Arnhem. What about the 30th Corps? Actually, this is the reinforcements that will be available to the Allied if and when they manage to win enough battles. Finally, to close the video, this is a list of the scenarios that are in each turn of the game. As you can see, the first 2 battles are bridges everywhere. Now, in turns 3, 4, and 5, both in Eindhoven and Nijmegen, we have no more bridge assaults, but I just felt like it was due to have at least a couple, because, I mean, the whole market garden is about bridges. Again, the only exception is in Arnhem, where these are just the available bridges, because remember, if things go well for the Brits, they basically only fight in 2 bridges. The rail bridge in the first battle, and then it's just a matter of conquering the land bridge and then defending it to the death. So the scenario being played for the Brits will depend on how the story goes. All right, I think this is enough. I think this can help you get an idea of what is going on behind the scenes of the campaign. Now we will have to fight the 3rd round of battles, and we will see what's gonna happen. So far, the Allied are lagging a little bit behind from the original timetable, but there's still some time to recoup. This said, this is it for today, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Ciao, ciao.